Hello and welcome back to the Mind and Money Podcast. I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val Stratford, a financial planner. And today we are talking about how to find a financial professional that fits for you. This can really be applied to any professional.
True.
I think that when you have your circle of people that help you take care of your health, whether it be financial, mental, physical, it's important for you to trust them, want to be with them, want to see them, and feel comfortable in being real with them. I moved doctors because that doctor was not in alignment with me. That's a very big privilege. I understand that. I was very grateful for this situation that a new doctor became available, but it's been so much nicer to have a doctor that actually listens and cares about me. With financial professionals, there's green flags that you want to be looking for when you're looking to work with someone. So you want it to be the right fit. I always say that intro call, and I'm sure Sherry can agree that the intro call or the intro meeting, when we're getting to know one another, there's sometimes where you're like, this is not my person. This is not my person. And the client typically feels that way too. So as that client looking for someone, if it doesn't feel right, trust that feeling.
Yeah. And on the other side too, like as a professional, whether that's financial or otherwise, if you have a client sitting in front of you and you're just like, their values are different from me. They want, like, their goals are things that I'm not going to be able to get behind. Like, this works both ways when it comes to working with somebody as a client or as a professional. You want to have people in your life, whether that is your professional life or your personal life, that give you a good vibe, that fit, that have values that are important to you. And yes, you don't have to believe all of the things that your clients or your professionals believe, but if you've got something that's really important, that's a non-negotiable to you, and they can't get behind it and they have opposite beliefs, then that's a big red flag to run the other way.
Absolutely. So those values being in alignment, the vibe check, which is very, very 2024. But really, do you feel that connection? It's kind of this intangible piece of when you meet people in your life and you're almost like, oh, we're connecting for a reason. Like, this was meant to happen.
Yep.
Trust that. If it's not always there. I didn't have that necessarily with my doctor. I wasn't like, oh, the universe connected. But like, actually, maybe. Who knows? Maybe. But it felt like a good connection there. Yep. So when it comes to that financial professional, someone that gets you, someone that you feel comfortable opening up about, because it's really sensitive stuff that we talk about.
Yeah. And if you don't feel comfortable with them and you're not comfortable asking questions about decisions you want to make, or if you're not comfortable saying, I don't understand what you've just said. I don't understand the options you're presenting to me. Can you explain this more or explain it to me in a different way?
Yes.
Then, like, if you ever leave a meeting and you're just shaking your head being like, fuck, I have no idea what they were talking about. They just put my money here and they told me that it would like be good. And
and there's sometimes where it is almost like too much. So that's the importance of trusting the person you're with is not to just put your blinders on and then just be like, oh, I trust Val. She'll just do whatever. We still want you to be involved and empowered and educated to know what we're doing. But sometimes that feeling is overwhelming. It's like when my dad tells me what work he's done to our vehicle and I'm like, awesome, amazing. Please repeat that to Travis because
yeah. And it's like, maybe it's not in your wheelhouse, and I see a lot of social media questions where they're like, I don't understand investments. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Yes. So having your professionals in your life understand your capacity for that subject and communicating based on your capacity. So maybe you're somebody who has done a lot of research on investments and things like that, and you're bringing higher level questions to say like, oh, like what about this dividend? What about my RRSP versus my tax-free savings account for this specific type of investment? If you're not knowledgeable about investments, then your professional should be talking to you
100%.
At a level that you're able to comprehend. And maybe you just like, I just want to know like what the future is going to look like with these types of investments. Like, let them know what you want to know, what your level of understanding is. And if they're coming in at like 30,000 feet and they're way over your head and you tell them that, and they don't adjust their communication style, that's a big red flag that they're trying to almost make you feel like you desperately need them because you don't have an understanding of what they're saying.
Or you feel like you can't ask questions because then you're going to be viewed as unintelligent, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be like, well, how don't you understand this? And I've had a client be like, can you explain that in a different way? And it just takes me a minute to pause and formulate, okay, how else can I explain this? And then it might take 2 more ways of trying to explain it. And then they're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get that. Thank you. Next.
But yeah, having somebody that's got that flexibility to be able and willing
Yes.
is the bigger part, because you might have somebody that they're like, they try a different way and it still just doesn't click with you yet. And like they're trying
but if they're done after 2 tries and you're still like, I don't know.
Yeah. So like, and maybe that's providing resources and things for you to read, to understand. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of different ways that people learn and lots of different ways that the professionals in your life can help you.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like finding that balance between I trust them and I understand what they're telling me, because there's going to be situations where you're just like, you know what? I could spend time to understand this, but I don't want to, and I trust you. So
yes,
you know what my goals are, and like that trust is there because you've had those conversations and you've built that relationship. And yeah, it's all about relationships and building that trust. And there's so many areas where commercials for life insurance or car insurance or home insurance that, oh, you can get this great deal with this company online. And like, those are just things that I keep at an arm's length. And if I'm getting like insurance or anything related to my finances, life insurance,
talking to a person,
I want to have somebody that I can reach out to and ask questions, and somebody that is in my corner and spends the time to get to know me, to understand like, this is the best product for you. And it, because this, and this, not just like, when you're just clicking like, online to get stuff, it's just like,
this quiz matches you to this product. That makes sense. And when it comes to the person that knows you, that was really important for me when I left the bank. If you got if you got into that advisor role, you would get to know your book of clients. But then if you were good, you moved on. Like, and the bank was really weird. They would hide that someone had moved on. Their office is empty.
Yep.
They're not there anymore. They're at the branch in Woodstock now. And then all of a sudden there would be a new face in there. Yep. So then you go in there and you've told your story and you built this plan, maybe over 2 or 3 meetings with the previous advisor. You're starting over. And this advisor might not care, or you might not trust them as much. So having someone that is going to be with you longevity.
So if you move with the same bank to a different branch,
you don't take your people.
That's interesting.
Typically, because it's geographic, right? So they're in that branch. Sometimes I believe clients could follow, but you couldn't take everyone with you. So then you would then be going in, and they would know you by a file, not by your face.
Yeah.
They actually too at one point wanted us to be putting more personal notes in. So if I knew your dog's name and that your mom passed away, I'd put it in there. And then the next person that interacted with you would also be like, so how have you been since your mom?
Oh, sneaky.
Right. But weird.
Yeah. Because like, I don't know you. Don't talk to me about my mom.
No, not until we have that trust. Do I want to share that with you?
Yeah.
Trust, building a relationship with the right person.
Yeah. And how do you, so when you're thinking about working with somebody, whether you're looking for somebody to fix your car, fix your furnace, help you with something, where do you start with finding a new professional?
I do love going online. I love Instagram. I love doing a Google search and seeing who comes up, but then also word of mouth is huge.
Yep.
Right. There's a lot of great groups where someone's like, hey, I'm looking for this. And then you see those recommendations. Those are fantastic. Family and friends, of course, always. That's where I would say I start. What about you?
I'm a big social media person. And I think because so many people feel connected to me because of how open I am with sharing about things on social media, that brings lots of people to me. So then I think for me, I'm like, people are finding me because of this. I'm going to go and look for somebody. And if you're a business owner, dear God, and you are using social media, post consistently enough. It's two things. Post consistently enough so that I know you're still in business.
Yes, something from 2024 would be great.
And let me see your face.
Yes.
Start with pictures. Just random selfies are fine. But if I go to your profile and I'm considering you for a service or like to work with you, and I don't see your face anywhere, and you're sharing lots of like tips and tricks and statistics on things, like that's great.
Where's that personal side?
But I love that I hop on a call with somebody that I'm considering working with, or somebody that's considering working with me.
Yep.
And there's just like that. I feel like I know you.
Yes.
I feel like I know you, and that like I've built that trust.
You've done the know, like, trust without even meeting them because of your social media presence. So then being able to creep that on someone else is also great.
Yeah. And like when I have a potential client come on and like they're throwing out the F-bomb in the first like 2 minutes, I'm like, I found another person. Because it's, I try not to be the first one to drop the swear words, but like if you are following me on social media or you have any type of connection to me, you know that that's like in my realm of comfort, and being able to do that just helps you like feel more expressive. And it's like, some people are like, whoa, you're a financial professional, you can't say fuck, but the people that I work with that I love the most, like, appreciate it as like an emphasis words. Yeah, social media is a big one again, but word of mouth too, but also Google reviews. If I'm looking up a business, looking to see like, have they had any recent Google reviews? Are they bad? And it's the same when I'm looking at like new products on Amazon. I'm always looking for the bad ones.
Yes.
I don't want to see the good reviews.
No, I'm like, show me the truth about this bad boy.
Because like, are the good reviews, like, are they friends of friends? Are they family? Like, if somebody's only got a handful of reviews and they're all 5 stars, I'm like, this is a little suspicious. But if somebody's got like 30 reviews, less suspicious. If they've got the odd, not so good one thrown in there. Because that's
probably that misaligned client. Like, yeah, we were not a good fit.
Yeah. So if you're currently working with a financial professional that's throwing up all the red flags, you don't feel comfortable asking them questions, they're never reaching out to you, you never hear from them.
And sometimes this is because like a client or an advisor has retired and then just a new advisor took over, or you're not high on their list. And there's even clients on my list that I'm making the pivot to move them because I don't have the capacity for them, and they're better served by a different avenue.
So if you're with somebody who's not giving you the good vibe, throwing up the red flags, and you've found somebody who you think is going to be a better fit, what does the process look like to move to a new financial planner?
So if it's in terms of, we'll mainly talk in terms of investments. So if you have investment accounts with a different advisor or with a different institution, it can be the bank too. I had clients where they were with the bank, they really didn't have a connection. So we started our relationship. I took over managing their investments. So we opened a new TFSA and a new RRSP, and it's just like a claw machine. It picks up their old ones and it drops them off. Sometimes you will hear from that other institution. Ideally, it's just a nice message wishing you well. Sherry has different experience.
Yeah, I did move investments and got to sum it up really quickly, what the fuck message. And it just solidified for me that it was the best move to move my investments. Yeah, the new person that you want to have your investments with, like and it's going to take some time.
It does take some time.
But they're going to fill out the paperwork to transfer your investments. Like if you've got an RRSP or a tax-free savings account, they're going to move it into, and like depending on where it is and who they're with, like maybe it's in different funds and different. And my experience was that the company that I was moving my investments from, like they did everything they could to put up roadblocks and barriers to delay the transfer.
Yes, and that is not uncommon. It's very frustrating for everyone.
But it just like be patient and take time. So what about life insurance?
So if as a broker, I carry the license with the company that your policy is with, then I can adopt it essentially, right? Which is easy because then if we want to do something or we just want view to it, because typically if we want to do a beneficiary change, I'm working on my Sun Life contract, but I don't have it.
Yep.
So I had a client that had a Sun Life policy, but we wanted to update the beneficiaries. I got the form through my contractor and we filled it out and sent it in. So that was fine. But when it comes to overview, then I'm not able to pull a summary for you.
Yep.
I have to get it from you and you have to see if it even came in the mail yet. So if I do have the company, then it's an agent of record transfer, similar to the policies that you had, those older Canada Life ones or London Life. And then they just come over to my care.
It's interesting. I had these old policies and I knew nothing about them. I actually thought that they were going to be expiring. So got new life insurance policies with Val and then realized, well, the payments are still coming out for those ones. Like what? I looked for paperwork and I sent an email to the person that I believe that I had signed up for them through and never heard anything back. So Val just like looked into it and was able to transfer them. So now all my policies are with Val. So it's not like, wait, what's going on with this one? So it's nice to have 100%. Everything all together because then you're able to have someone have eyes on like your full financial picture and ideally somebody that you trust and has a good vibe. And
yes.
So, okay, here's your second reminder. We sent this out on our life insurance episode. If you haven't checked your beneficiaries in a while, go and check them. I recently connected with somebody who lost somebody, a spouse, and their spouse's policies had not been changed. The pension and life insurance went to a previous spouse.
And you would like to think that people would do the right thing and do the good thing, but they don't.
And there's nothing
legally abiding them to.
No. So go and check your investment policies, reach out to your investment professionals, have them do a quick review of your life insurance, your pension, is probably going to be something different, but your RSP, your TFSA.
Yes.
Like check to see who your beneficiaries are. And I'm not sure if this is applicable for an RSP, but for a TFSA, it's like listing somebody as a beneficiary isn't the best option, right? Like it's what's the
successor. So you would name your spouse as the successor. So if something happened to Jason, it would roll to you. And then you'd name beneficiaries in kind of like that second place. So if something happened to you and Jason, then what? So I'm always making sure that's done, especially for parents with kids. Always setting up first place, second place, and then naming a trustee. That trustee too. Make sure that the trustee is potentially still living if your children are still underage. And dynamic shift. Is it still someone that you would trust to care for the funds for your children?
So like life changes and it's important to make sure that these things, like it's not fun to update your beneficiary and your life insurance policy, but doing that is way better than the not fun if you have been remarried and your original spouse, like your ex-spouse, gets your investment because that leaves your current spouse in a really challenging financial position, likely. And
it's a way different story, right? I'm having very similar. There was a couple things, a client passed away and some of it was to the right person, but then other pieces weren't. And the person that it went to that is not supposed to have it, she's not going to give it up.
No. Well, it's like, I like to think that I would, but I don't know. It depends. It depends like what life situation that person is in. And maybe they're in a challenging financial spot and getting that money is a huge help, even though they weren't the person that it was meant to pass to. So just to go back to the TFSA, the transfer to a spouse, what's the benefit of having it set up like that versus a beneficiary?
So the successor holder it just rolls right over to your spouse, where the beneficiary then it doesn't just amalgamate into their TFSAs. It actually like leaves your TFSAs and then goes to them. So instead of you just having one giant TFSA, which is the benefit, because then you get all of their TFSA room, right? So you can fit it in there. But if you now have a TFSA of $200,000 and you leave that to your child, they can't have that same benefit.
So if I left it to a child and they had already maxed out their TFSA contribution room, they would have to they would still get the money in the TFSA. They just don't get the tax advantage of it still being wrapped in the
package.
TFSA.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So, but I would only get the contribution room if it's the succession passed to me that had funds currently in it.
Right. You don't get an empty TFSA.
Okay.
Yes.
So if
good question though.
So it's nicer because then if we both have a TFSA maxed out,
you've got
I get a lot more tax sheltered room.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Especially versus the RSP where now you have to get a lot more money out of a taxable source.
Yes. Yeah. And or maybe you don't have any contribution room where you can put it into anything tax sheltered and then you end up with it in a taxable account and lots of different things there to consider when you're taking it out. So on this episode where we again started with how to find a financial professional you trust or any professional you trust and don't be afraid to let somebody go if they're not a good fit.
And ask why they got into what they're doing. Ooh. I love those conversations. I can't say I asked my doctor that one, but when clients care about why you do what you do, and you can feel it. You can feel that people either are in this for you or are they in it for themselves? Did they get in this because they saw the ability to make money and make sales and close big deals, or did they get in it because they care about people? They care about you. They love what they do. So ask people why they're doing what they're doing.
Oh, that's a good one. Any other questions that you would recommend asking somebody or something you would want to make sure you knew about somebody before you worked with them?
How long do you plan on doing what you're doing? How long have you been doing what you're doing? Right? Is this something that you're trying on? Is this something that you want to continue to do?
Yep.
Who are your favorite people to work with?
Right? Who's your ideal client? And then thinking from the potential client perspective, how do I fit into that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I always love when I'm meeting with a new potential client to share what was my path to financial coaching and how did my financial journey, my life journey help me get here? And just I'm probably an oversharer, but I want to feel like somebody is comfortable and they're going to put their trust in me. And if I share things about myself, they're going to feel more comfortable sharing things about themselves. And those tidbits of information they share help me support them in the long run. Yeah. So if you're currently with a professional of any kind, except maybe not your doctor, because you might not have options to move to a new one. But if you're with a professional of any kind that you don't feel understood, supported, you don't feel those good vibes.
You don't have to stay with the person that your parents are with. And I said this earlier too. I just had a client that shared this with me. Watch how people treat you or the financial professional when you have money and when you don't have money.
Yeah.
Because he had money from an inheritance and then pulled it out to buy a house. Very different treatment now. He wanted to go back and start putting money in automatically. Ghosted him.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that's another thing is if you're looking for a financial planner and you reach out to somebody and they're like, oh no, we only bring in people. We only work with people that have $250,000 in investments already. That's kind of an indicator for me that they're not necessarily, and this is not 100% for sure. There are definitely people out there that have those minimums that are still going to be a very good person to work with. But there's, I think, more of a chance that somebody's going to come from meet you where you are, coming from a heart of education, if they're willing to take you on with I have no portfolio, I want to start putting $250 away every month into my investment.
And there's just different ways that I structure my business so then I can say yes to that. Because if we don't start the education there, then we're never going to get to that over $250,000 blah blah blah.
Yeah, and that's how I started my investment journey. Was through work was where the RRSPs and stuff started, but being able to put, I think it was $25 a pay that I put aside for an RESP, for an education savings fund. And the person that I started with, $25, no problem. I don't remember who they were. That was a long time ago. But just like starting with a little bit.
Yes.
And being able to, because you can't start putting $500 away every pay.
No, it's
necessarily.
About start soon and start small.
Yep. And when you find that $25, then it's easier to find $50 and $100. So if you're only able to put a little bit away, find somebody that's willing to work with you and then just gradually increase that as you're able to.
Yeah.
So watch for the red flags, watch for the green flags.
Feel for the green flags.
Find somebody that's got the good vibe, that vibes with you. And it sounds cheesy, but there's people out there.
Feel it.
There's people out there that are going to be the best person to help you. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if it happens to be a financial coach you're looking for or a financial planner you're looking for in Canada, our contact information is below. You can actually book a meeting with us and we can chat about all of those things. And, you know, we're both going to be very open if we're not the right person for you from a skill set or from a just like ideal client perspective. And we can point you in the direction of the next somebody we feel that would be a better fit for you. So we are glad you've been here and we can't wait to see you next time on the Mind and Money Podcast.
Thanks for listening.